Hello everyone, how is everyone doing? It's your boy FPL Josh and welcome to another Game Week 1 draft stream. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a good day. We are gonna literally just talk about how I'm just getting annoyed to the degree of there's too many players to pick this year and I can't have everyone in my team. Also, we're going to talk about the reason why I've got Son, differentials to a degree in my team at the moment, and we're also going to talk about possibilities that will go in my team. So there is a couple things I'm thinking of doing. One is not having Matty Cash and Flecking on the bench and bringing them down to 4 mil players. Sorry, Mings and Flecking and bringing them down to 4 mil players. And like Areola and Baldock, so that'll free up a mil. And then I am contemplating doing Foden to Gross because then that'll free up 2 mil. And then I'd do Archer to Alvarez. So I'd still be covering City's attack. I'd have Pascal Gross. I'd be able to bench Son for the first game, couple game weeks, and then have him for that Bournemouth, Burnley, Sheffield United run-in. Or I could start with Bruno Fernandes and then move to Son for that run-in. But I might just start with Son as a differential because I do like to start with Son, I think, because I do feel Son has got a lot of value in him. And he's the one I'm going to be looking to kind of start with. But if he doesn't pop off too much versus Brentford, I could, statistically speaking, be able to go with him as a differential for the first couple of weeks. And maybe have Bowen as a differential for that first week and rotate him with Alvarez. But it's going to be a bit of an meh. So yeah, it's a bit weird. I'm still iffing and turning about who I'm putting in and what's going on. And then how pretty much I'm going to do it. At the minute. It's hard though to get the team really, I suppose, spot on at the minute. But yeah, it's hard, man. It's trying to get that perfect balance, isn't it, between the team. Make sure everything is perfectly right to every single degree possible. I do think though there's a lot of value in the players I've got, and I do think this year going for a differential pick, there's nothing wrong with that. Going for a differential draft, there is completely nothing wrong with that. And I think you don't really need to go. Well, you do. You need to go template, obviously at the start of the season, because otherwise your rank will absolutely get obliterated and you won't be nowhere near. And the one thing you don't want to do is start the season off really bad. You always want to start the season off well, but I just think Trent is not justifiable at the minute, which is why I've got Shaw instead. I just think those first 3 fixtures 8-way Trents. I know they've got Tottenham game week 2, but the fact that we have Wolves and Forest in the first 3 compared to Liverpool's Chelsea, Bournemouth, and is it Aston Villa or something like that. So I can't really justify spending an extra 2.5 mil more for Trent when not spending that money on Trent. One, I've got Shaw instead, which is just as equal of a player. I'm allowed to put money into Son. I'm allowed to put money into Foden. I'm allowed to put money elsewhere in the team. I've got a better bench, I've got a better team in general, just by not having Trent. And that is more than justifiable for me. Because I could go, Foden to, as I just said, Pascal Gross, Eze or Mbumo to start off as a differential, or maybe Bowen. And then I could put Evan Ferguson up front if I really wanted to throw a load of differentials out, because I could put Evan Ferguson over Archer and then do obviously Foden to Bowen and then move Bowen down to another differential like Sterling later on come game week 2. So there is a lot of options here and a lot of ways I can try and play around it to kind of get my rank up really quick. But I do think Foden or Alvarez or any City attack is something you want to go for, because if you don't have that City attack, I feel like you are really going to get burned those first couple of weeks. And I think having one City attacker is dumb. I mean, I might even be tempted to have Haaland, Foden and Grealish and go for a triple up on City attack and maybe just bring Son in come game week 3. There's so many options, but I do think that Son is going to be really, really good. And I want to try and get on that bandwagon early before everyone starts bringing them into the teams. Because I do think that the 6% ownership is at now, considering he's normally a 12.5 mil, 11.5 mil player, I think he's extremely underpriced. I know, he didn't have a great season last year when he had that hemorrhage injury? Not hemorrhage injury. He had an injury or whatever he had. But if you look at the numbers, still right. If you look at previous seasons before Son had that problem, right? You look at it. 14, 9 goals, 19 assists. 12 goals, 8 assists. 12 goals, 8 assists. 11 goals, 13 assists. 17 goals, 11 assists. He had that amazing season there. But he still had that injuries, and all that stuff he was going through his face and everything else. And he still got 10 goals and 6 assists. So, I just think the numbers, for me, speak for themselves. That if Son can go from having this amazing season, then has a poor season because of an injury, there's no reason he can't get back to this 17, 23 goal mark this year. There's no reason why he can't do that. So I think everyone's really overlooking Son just because of how he was so-called poor last year, but he's not. Because he's going to get expected goals of 10, expected assists of 5, expected goal involvement 15, clean sheets, goals conceded, expected goals conceded. I suppose it's really going to depend on how you look at it, but then Rashford, like last year, he had 17 goals, 7 assists, but he was poor the season before. He was evens that season. Good that season, he produced 17 goals and 8 assists, but this season he produced 30 goals across all campaigns that season. So when you look at the numbers, there's no reason the Son's not going to perform just as well as Rashford, and he's 6% owned. So I don't see how people can sit and say, okay, Son's not worth it, Son's, this, bad, there's better players. Yes, fine, ownership-wise. But do I think Bruno Fernandes, even as a Man United fan, is a better pick than Heung-min Son? No, I don't. And the reason is, Bruno will sit deep. And I think there's a strong, clear thing for me that Kane's probably going to leave Spurs. And if that happens, Son's going to be the main tailsman. And it might even be a case of where we could see Heung-min Son playing up front. And your Kulusevskis and your Madisons on left and right. Let's have a drink. And also, he'll be on penalties if that happens. I just think Bournemouth, Burnley and Sheffield United, Brentford's, that's an okay fixture for me. I could see Son going and scoring some goals and doing some bits versus Brentford. That would not surprise me. And do I think Nkunku he's going to absolutely destroy things? Yes, he's on penalties, he's 26% owned, he's going to scare the crap out of me every week. He may burn my rank, fair enough. But Foden is probably just that better pick slightly. And I can always move to Mbumo for that second week from Foden. And then just bring Foden back in. If I'm so scared of Mbumo that second week, there is ways of me getting around that. It just takes 2 transfers, which obviously you've got to look at it in that kind of a perspective. It's going to take 2 transfers, maybe it's not worth it, but they have Fulham, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, and then Newcastle. Tottenham I don't consider ridiculously as a fixture. Newcastle I don't either. Fulham, I think that's a hard fixture. Crystal Palace, I think even that is a harder fixture, and then Bournemouth's an easier fixture. So do I really think Brentford have the most phenomenal run ever? No. Not, Brentford will struggle versus the likes of Fulham and Crystal Palace because they're quite even sides. But then let's say we've got Saka and Arsenal, they're going to destroy Forest, Crystal Palace, Fulham. They're going to give us a run for our money. They'll probably end up beating us. I'll hold my hands up. Arsenal were great last season. We'll probably lose that game. Fair enough. But then I look at our fixture and I think, do you know what? Okay, Wolves, great game. Rashford's going to pop off. Shaw's going to do well. Tottenham, boom, great game. I'll bench Shaw that game. Then we've got Rashford and Son against each other. Not a big deal. They're both great. I could get returns to both in that game easily if it's a pop off. And then obviously Forest, I'll play them all. Arsenal, it would mainly be a case this game week of just deciding who I'm going to bench, Shaw or Gabriel. I think both teams will score in that game. So the most likely for me would be benching Gabriel, playing Mings, I think. Is it Mings that week? No, Flecken against Bournemouth in goal. But who have I got in defence that week? I'd have to play Bell versus West Ham, let's say, instead of Gabriel. Or I would have sold or I could sell one of them by them for a week, because bear in mind we're talking game week 4 here, so you're going to wildcard in game week 6. It'd probably be the week, to be fair, that I would probably ditch Shaw off and bring in maybe Reece James. And then obviously I'd still have a decent side going into that game. Obviously I have to pick Gabriel, but he does offer attacking for even against Dawson. It could be clean sheets depending on who's at home. Pick third of the game, I'll play him first game, then I'll rotate with Fleck, and then I'll play him. No, play him. Yeah, play him. Then I'll probably play him again, depending on Flecken's numbers. Could be a Nana in goal, and maybe I'll have a Reece James at the back instead. I know I've got Liverpool, but I don't mind Chelsea really, even against Liverpool. So that could be another option. Matoma's a must. Saka must. Rashford must. Haaland, obviously, I'm not going to talk about that because everyone knows that. Jesus. And the only issue is that, and there's not many strikers this year. It's going to be a toss-up between him and Nkunku. But I think for the first 3 game weeks, Jesus is a must, and then I can switch to Nkunku in game week 4. So I do think there's a lot of viability by just holding 2 transfers from game week 2 to 4, moving Jesus to Nkunku, moving Shaw to Reece James, and then you've got that kind of really nice Chelsea run. And also you can get like the likes of Sterling in if you feel like it come game week 4 from Matoma. There's loads of options you can move, because I can move Jesus to Nkunku and Matoma to Sterling in game week 4 if I really wanted to do that. Because it does give me a lot of options, and it gives me a lot of things to play around with, a lot of ways to get differentials in, a lot of ways to get the Chelsea players in. And I do think Chelsea are going to be a very attacking, very good side this season. But we're really going to have to see kind of where I suppose Chelsea are at in general. Because it's really going to depend. If Chelsea come out and they play very well, then in pre-season, and they start playing very well, then I'm going to be very tempted to put Sterling in my draft. I do think as well that Heung-min Son should be in everyone's, in my opinion, most 70% of people's drafts, so no one's putting him in. Which is fair. Off the season he had last year, fair enough. I can tolerate that. Bruno's obviously been put in because of how cheap Bruno is. I just don't think Bruno's a better option than Son. I just can't shake the gut feeling that Son is going to absolutely have an amazing season. I could see Son scoring 20 goals this season. And maybe I'll regret what I've just said, but I could really see that happening. I just think he's going to come back this year. He's not going to injure anymore. He's loads better. He's going to return to that previous form. And I think his underlying numbers aren't bad. He's still going to minimum, any season, he's minimum going to get you, at the minimum for me, 10 goals and this 7 or 8 assist mark every season. And that was last season, his poor season. He still got 10 goals and 6 assists. And the season before, he got 17 goals, 11 assists. So he's more than capable of doing that. And I think with Maddison as well now, there's more people to, let's say, get more attacking returns in for Son with the crosses, set pieces onto Son, the ball's through for him. There's more attacking threat on that Spurs side. They've got the new manager, they've got new tactics. I just think Spurs this year are going to do very, very well, which is why I can, for me, justify going Son. And I think at 6% owned, if my little bandwagon punt I've gone for pays off, let's say he goes and gets a goal and assist versus Brentford, or just gets 1 goal and bonus points, there's a 10-pointer. If that pays off, then that would be incredible, wouldn't it? Which is the way I'm looking at it. And I just think Son long term now could be a very, very good pick. Spurs fixtures, I'm more than happy to keep Son. Because the way I see it is, right, I'm going to have him, Brentford play him happily. Man U, yeah, more than justify can playing him. Bournemouth, Burnley, Sheffield United, boom, he's going to pop. Liverpool, I can justify playing him. He has Luton, Fulham and Crystal Palace, but I'd probably sell him for these 2 fixtures, and then maybe just wildcard in game week 8 and bring him back game week 8 for that Luton, Fulham, Crystal Palace run. Chelsea's fine, Wolves is fine, Aston Villa's fine. Obviously, Man City, you have to kind of bench him for that fixture, and then he has West Ham, Newcastle, Forest, Everton. So there is loads of good weeks really for Son to just have a pop off. And I just think on double game weeks, Son could be very huge later on in the season as well. I just think he's going to have one of those seasons where he just starts popping off early. I think if I can get it right, hopefully I can get Foden right. If Foden starts, then Foden is going to be a massive rank gainer. Because unless he's going to pass that ownership, it's still around the 12% mark. And I just think he had 11 goals, 7 assists last season, 9, 6, 9, 8. But if you can get him that bang-on right period where he's starting minutes, because remember, this is his minutes last season, right? It's 1,000 minutes less than Son, but he's putting up better numbers. In that Man City side, if he was to get game time every single game, Like, Foden could have a 200-point season every year, and I would not even be shocked if he did. If he was to get game time every game and start every single game in the season, then Foden would absolutely pop. And I just don't understand how he's so low owned. I know 12.3% isn't like ridiculously low, but that is low considering all the other midfielders that are really high owned. So I do think the fact that people aren't actually going near him is a bit weird. Obviously, Gabriel's gone up in ownership now. Another one I don't get is why people are not going for Flecken as much. I know Raya's obviously there, but as a rotation with Pickford, him or Leno are just dapper. That rotation is absolutely class. So there would be no reason really not to go with Pickford and Flecken or Pickford and Leno. Obviously, Anana's a great shout. I want to see what price is at. If Anana's at 4.5 mil, he is going straight in my team. Without a doubt. There's no way in hell that Anana would not be going in my team if he's at 4.5 mil, but we'll see. Obviously, as well, it's looking at pre-season data, looking at what pre-season's going to be like, and pretty much just everything in general. Because I think if we can get most of the pre-season right, stats-wise, we get a good eye test, everything else, and we look at it, it'd be great. But we'd really just have to see, to be fair. It's a bit of a hit or miss one, I suppose. We'll have to see what's going on later. Well, let's have a look actually what the current games kick off today, because we have got some more pre-season games which will give us a bit of insight, because we have Newcastle today versus Rangers, but Newcastle fixture ain't great, and Forest Valencia. But that'll still give us a little bit of insight to what teams are starting. And I don't mind, to be honest with you, if anyone, I'm not probably going to start with him, but I will probably try to get him in. I don't mind a Gibbs White punt. I really don't. I can't see any reason why it would backfire. But those is pretty much like if you put Gibbs White instead of Foden, you put Alvarez in, you play Alvarez first game, you play Gibbs White, and then you play, Alvarez again, and then you play Gibbs White, and then you play Alvarez, and then you play Gibbs. It's a rotation because of the fixtures. But I do think it's more than justifiable that, and it would put a little bit more money in the bank. Not a lot, but put a little bit, like 0.5 more. But then again, I'll probably just keep Flecken, downgrade Foden to Gibbs White, 1.5 spare, and then move Mings to a 4 mil defender. So yeah, there is justification there. It's just if you can get the nail on the head this season, and you can get, let's say, 8 out of 10 of things right, and you get the differential points right this year, there's going to be no reason that you can't just have an absolutely phenomenal season. And I would be very shocked if you can't. Ooh, by the way, we're on it as well. Let's check some transfer news on the phone. So we've got some transfer news. Okie doke. So, live Hodgland aggrievement shock, done deal, and Nana deal delayed. Oh, what's going on here? Nana deal delayed. Let's have a look. Let's see. What's going on here, There's some really weird flipping news going on the transfer news now. But there was agreed personal terms of Danish star Rasmus Hodlund and... Yep. 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 I think, though, if we can get... Hold on. That's mad, that is. How was I 165k a week? I didn't even realise that. Let's have a look. Is. Let's have a look what Hodgland's currently looking like. I'm putting like a 40 mil bid for him. That's weird, man. Luton's have been bad by 7% to win the Prem, and Man City have only been bad by 5%. That's very weird. Very, very weird. Anyways, right, get back to talks. Let's see currently what the current football is going to be looking like then, shall we? Let's pull up the predicted points. I did pull up this team on the predicted points yesterday on Fantasy Football Hub, because Fantasy Football Hub at the minute, I have still not signed up for my newsletter. Bear in mind, I'm not signing up for it yet, as I would do it literally just before the season starts, because I don't see the point in paying an extra month in advance just for the sake of it, because the season's not even started yet. Rashford, Saka, Matoma. Let's put Matoma in. Bear in mind, right, I think Son is getting a very low predicted score on here, which is very annoying. But I'm just going to clarify, don't look into the predicted points way too much. Like, I look at it just to kind of see what my team's looking like. But, like, I was predicting like 75 last year. Well, no, sorry, 85 and got 71, I think, or something in the first game week. So all I'm saying is don't look into predicted points too much to the degree of where you just think that's the exact points you're going to get, you know, and you're not going to have any changes. These are just like a guide to kind of tell you to a degree where your team is looking at. But the team is looking okay, it's not looking bad. Obviously, bear in mind, these points are never exactly right, the predicted points are never bang on right, they're just like thereabouts. Sometimes they get close, sometimes they don't. You know, it really just depends. Put Haaland in while we're at it. Stoop. Fanan. Also, we have Mings, which probably will be Matty Cash. Yeah, it will be Matty Cash. Say it now. I wasn't going to put Matty Cash in, but he was injured last year. His underlying numbers weren't great, but I do fancy a punt on Matty Cash. We'll see. I've got Bell in as well at the minute, but I'm going to put Baldock in just because Bell blanks for the first two, so I cover myself really by putting Baldock in because he blanks game week 2, so it gives me a coverage by just putting Baldock in. I think it just covers me a bit more. But to be honest with you, I'd probably just save the 0.5 mil and not have Mings, as it's probably not as necessary as most people think. And also we have Cameron Archer. Right. Save plan. Close that. Give me a sec. Let's get everyone in. Make sure I'm counting. So we currently score. Hold on, I'm Pickford in. Team rate, game rating of 94, a team rating of 95. And a predicted points of 67.9 to around the 68 mark. Bear in mind, this is with a big differential. If I was to get like rid of Son and put like Bruno in, it immediately goes up because not many people are favouring Son. But it doesn't go up drastically to the point where I think, oh, is there any point you put Son in? Not a lot really, because it doesn't go up drastically that much that I think it's value. What I am going to do, I'm going to very test something right now. I'm going to move Mings out. I'm going to put Bell in. I'm going to move Flecken out. I'm going to put Areola in. And I'm going to see how it responds to what I'm about to do. Just see what it kind of thinks. I don't expect it to be like, oh, this amazing kind of thing. I just expect it to be like, okay, yeah, do you know what, it's not a bad idea. So let me see. Because I do think that moving you to Pascal Gross or Mbeumo. Probably Mbeumo actually, just because I'm not. So I don't have to crap myself and go, I ain't got Mbeumo. And then if we remove you and bring in Alvarez. I'm just curious to just see. Because Alvarez isn't predicting a lot. So he does drop it. But I just think, could this be better? Just in general. Compared to having Foden and Archer. Obviously I haven't got Mings or I haven't got Fleck and I've got Areola and Bell, which is fine, I can tolerate that. But I get a Mbeumo and Alvarez. So could that be a slightly better pick? Just considering if Alvarez starts playing up front with Haaland, we know Alvarez is more than capable of scoring a load of goals. And he is only at 2.8% ownership. So it's just whichever way you look at it, but I could have also this. I could do, which could prove very valuable. I could do Enciso, and I could move Alvarez up to Nkunku, which that could be a very good move. Now, just as I do like the looks of having Nkunku, so I do like that as a move. And Enciso is probably just going to sit on my bench. I'll probably start him over Nkunku first game. But then I don't mind that team either, because I do get the likes of Nkunku. You know, I'm not getting Foden though, so I am not getting that City attacker. That would be the only literal thing that worries me, which is why I don't mind the draft I've got at the moment. Because I've still had moves to Nkunku, I know I haven't got Enciso, which is not a big deal, it's just a differential. I think he's at like 12.3 ownership. So he could be good. He could be a good differential. But I'm not sure about Trouble and Brighton. Obviously I do like Nkunku, but I think my team is most likely going to stay how it is. I can't really see me changing this team any more than what I have. Because I just think it's got more than enough valuable players. I have got most premium. I have Pickford, Estupiñán. You know, everyone's got them. I have Gabriel or Shaw, both Gabriel and Shaw. One of them's got Gabriel and Trent, one of them's got Shaw and Gabriel. You know, it's a mix. Antonio, Saka, Rashford, everyone's got. Jesus, Haaland, most everyone's got. Son's a differential. Foden, some have got, some haven't. So, you know. A lot of people have gone for Fleck on the bench. On the actual people who are taking this pretty seriously, like on YouTube. Mings, like, we've got him. Archer, most have gone for him, and obviously Bell, most have gone for him. I think he's like 30% owned right now. 20%. I thought it was higher than that. So yeah. Pretty much that's where I'm at. I can't see myself changing this anymore though. I don't see any reason to be fair. And like, unless I see some drastic, like Son plays really bad pre-season, Bruno plays amazing, Gross plays phenomenal, then maybe I'll switch to the likes of Pascal Gross. You know, I do fancy still Pascal Gross as my differential punt as well, and then maybe just move to Son in game week 3. But I do like starting with Son. Isn't a problem. I do think Son could be a very good pick, but it doesn't like me Trent. But I do want Son, so it's like I do think I just stick with my gut feeling at the minute. Start with Son, probably start with Pascal Gross over Foden, and then move to Alvarez up front by getting rid of Mings and Flecken, because then that does allow me that City coverage. I can bench Son for the first game. I can bring Son in when I want to bring him in for those good fixtures. So I have got a great team set up then. And it does give me coverage obviously for Alvarez if Alvarez doesn't play as well. I still have that City attacker other than Haaland. And I still get Pascal Gross, who's on penalties and he's got better fixtures really than Foden for the first 3 because of the Newcastle game. So, and obviously there's Pep Roulette thrown into that. He might not get full minutes, so we need to review that. But I do think I'm going to leave that there. So I hope everyone has a good day. And I should see you all around at the 5 PM to 6 PM mark, maybe early in that tomorrow.
So yeah, I hope you always have